Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are going to talk about the Burstyn Motorgeschütz. The Burstyn Motorgeschütz was the first modern tank design. In 1902, Lieutenant Günther Adolf Burstyn of the Eisenbahn- und Telegraphenregiment of the Austro-Hungarian Army served in the military harbor of Pola as commander of the local Fortress Telegraph Squadron. On March 15, 1903, he was invited by his cousin, who was a marine officer, to join him on a torpedo boat trip. Burstyn was very impressed by the torpedo boat's speed, protection and power. After the torpedo boat impression, Günther Burstyn discovered that he was very interested in mechanical engineering and also got the idea that a land-based torpedo boat could be a new war-winning weapon. He began thinking about how such a vehicle could work. It needed armor, off-road capabilities, trench-crossing capabilities and a gasoline engine. He was already an engineer cadet after graduating from the Pionierkadettenschule in Hainburg in 1899, but he needed a better education if he wanted to design his land torpedo boat. So in 1904, he started a Hörergenie-course. During the course, he visited the 6th National Automotive Exhibition in Vienna in March 1906, where he saw the Daimler Panzer automobile, which was the first Austro-Hungarian armored car, built in 1904. He was very impressed, and the general idea was the same as his own from 1903. But according to him, the Daimler Panzer automobile had one big weakness, which was the wheels, which wouldn't be able to go off-road. This was now the last thing Burstyn had to find out before he could begin making a design. He finished the Hörergenie-course in 1906 and moved to Trento in Italy in November 1906, where he saw the Italian heavy guns equipped with tracks to reduce the ground pressure. He came up with the idea of having 2 or more wheels with tracks around them, thereby creating a continuous track. Unaware that such solutions had already been invented 29 years earlier and were being exported all over the world by big companies like the Holt Manufacturing Company. Now with everything ready, Burstyn began designing around 1907. He had to find a way for the tank to cross vertical obstacles, so he invented 2 swing arms that could be used to lift the tank over trenches and vertical obstacles. The 9-wheel suspension was divided into 7 road wheels, 1 on each arm, and 2 return rollers. The gearbox was likely at the front. We don't know what gearbox it was. The engine was likely placed at the rear and likely had around 40 to 60 horsepower. Armor thickness was 8 mm at the front, 4 mm at the sides, rear, bottom and turret, and 3 mm on the roof. Armament consisted of a 37mm gun mounted in the 300 degrees traversable turret. The second armament consisted of 2 7mm machine guns. There were 2 engine hatches at the rear and a grille on top of each hatch. The crew consisted of 3 men, a gunner and a loader that stood inside the turret. It was their job to operate the front arm, and a driver that sat in a compartment behind the turret and had to operate the rear arm. The tank had a length of 7 meters, a height of 1.9 meters and a width of 1.9 meters. It weighed 7 metric tons, had a top speed of 20 to 30 km per hour on roads and 5 to 8 km per hour cross country, and it had a range of 40 to 50 kilometers. The tank could probably cross trenches up to 3 meters in width. It was named the Motorgeschütz, meaning motor gun, but called Burstyn Motorgeschütz in honor of Günther Adolf Burstyn, who invented it, but also to distinguish it from other Motorgeschütz concepts. He made 2 scale models and submitted the design and scale models to the Austro-Hungarian War Ministry in October 1911. In January 1912, the War Ministry sent the following response. The project at hand has to be assessed primarily from the automotive point of view, because it introduces a new kind of motor vehicle construction intended for driving in the terrain. It does not matter at first whether the wagon is being used to transport a gun or for any other purpose. So the War Ministry sent the submission to the automotive sector of the army, who responded with the following. Based on this opinion, the project in question is not suitable to form the subject of a trial at the expense of the army administration. It is therefore requested to inform the proponent that the realization of his projects cannot be done with the expense of the army administration. In other words, they weren't interested in supporting the project economically. Günther Burstyn was very disappointed, but did not give up. He made some changes to the design to make it look less like an armored car. The suspension was changed to an 11-wheel suspension instead of 9, now with the new sprocket and idler wheels lifted. In early 1912, he submitted the new design to the German war ministry, but they also rejected his idea. Now Burstyn was frustrated and went to the papers. He wrote an article for the Sträflers Militärische Zeitung in 1912, as you can see here. Translated to English, it says, "The invention relates to a device designed for motor vehicles to traverse obstacles in the terrain, such as ditches, steps, and railway embankments. Figures 1 and 2 show this device used for a motorized gun. A pair of outriggers, G, is attached to the front and rear of the vehicle, each carrying small wide wheels at its outer ends. The outriggers are pivotable about axis A in a vertical direction. This movement is effected by the struts S, supported by the outriggers. The lower end of the struts is rotatably mounted in the outriggers, and the upper end is designated as crosshead K. This crosshead slides in the guide F. The axially displaceable but not rotatable spindle D is attached to it. The drive of the spindle D is effected by the motor via the bevel gear T. When the drive is engaged, the spindle D moves forward and backward. This also moves the crosshead K forward and backward, pushes the strut S forward or pulls it in, and in this way pushes the wheel down or raises it. Figures 3 to 8 show the use of the device attached to a motorized gun for crossing a step in the terrain. Patent claim: device for overcoming obstacles in the terrain, especially for motor vehicles, characterized by outriggers mounted at the front and rear of the vehicle that are pivotable in height, which are equipped with wheels at their ends extending beyond the vehicle and can be adjusted from the inside of the vehicle according to the obstacles in the terrain to be overcome. These illustrations were also part of the article. Some officers were enthusiastic about the design, but did not have the financial means to help. In 1914, Burstyn was called up for military service as a technical adjutant and had no time to promote his design. After the First World War, the design was seen as obsolete and Burstyn gave up. The Motorgeschütz was mentioned for the last time in the 1930s, mostly with photos of his scale models, as you can see here. These photos are from the 1930s. Burstyn didn't lose his interest in military engineering and made other designs and drawings over the years, like this tank trap from 1935. He worked for the Germans during the Second World War and took his own life on April 15, 1945, in fear of being taken prisoner by the Red Army. In 2011, the Heeresgeschichtliches Museum in Vienna made a replica of the tank for the temporary exhibition of military inventions made in Austria in the last 500 years. The tank was displayed outside for a few months and is now on display inside.